If you're unsure about the proportion of something and you haven't drawn on gray paper a lot, and you jump to the white pencil, you're going to end up with a lot of difficulty in making corrections. So, as I turn the brow ridge down to the end of the nose, pointing the chin against the end of the nose. Brow ridge is actually going to go down like that. Sometimes I tell people think in as simple way as possible, and what I mean by that is right now I'm just thinking about what are the specific abstract-like shapes of those shadows and the abstract-like shapes of the light, which is helping me develop over time all of the rest of the drawing. Backing over that way. If you keep your marks, I want to say, if you try to be loose but accurate, you'll have a lot more leeway with being, I want to say, I hate this word, but expressive. You know, I'm trying to make accurate marks, but what I'm not trying to do is go, okay, put down that much of a commitment to them. You know, still in the end have a drawing that's kind of fluid and still be accurate at the same time. And like I've said, likeness comes over time, so when you do your final project, which is a self-portrait, don't get frustrated if you don't capture the likeness in, 2 minutes or something. Center of the mouth, chin. You can see the way the cast shadow is moving across the neck is basically moving in that way because of the way the form of the neck is changing. Diagonal there. Right now I'm not thinking that I'm drawing an eye, I'm ignoring the fact that there's a eyeball up there and a pupil. I see a shape of light here and a shape of shadow there. That's what I'm really trying to focus on. And those shapes are dictated by the way the anatomical issues are structured. Angle of the nose goes up. Shape of the shadow along the nose there. And you can measure the angle of a shadow in the same way you can measure the angle of an arm, or the angle of the brow ridge, or the eyes, the mouth. It's a shape just like anything else. Remember that the center of the mouth is the part that's going to be parallel with the brow ridge and the chin and the bottom of the nose. The way the sides of the mouth turn, because basically the sides of the mouth are, they curve over like that cylindrical shape. They can be different placements depending on the person, depending on the angle of their head. And the edge of the head and the hair, they're both in shadow, so I'm giving just a minor attention to it because there's an important shadow that runs all into the hair, and I don't want to have the hair seem to be separate from the head. Down and over. The angle of the hair is generally going in this direction. Go straight over, I see that's where it stops. And the other part overlaps. Width from here to here is the diagonal that comes up, takes a turn in this direction. Takes a turn down in that direction. And the mass of the light is shaped in a certain way as it hits the hair, so I want to pay attention to that as well. So the poses from here on out are going to be, well, with the exception of Thursday, are going to be 2-day poses. And I want to say, if it takes you all class period to get this far on the first day of the pose, let it take you the whole class period, rather than trying to rush in to mass in a shadow. Right now I'm looking at the shadows, but I'm looking at them for issues of how they relate to structure, how they relate to proportion, the overall form. I'm not worrying about massing it in just yet. When you get more experience, I think it's okay to just go right into the beginning of a drawing and just draw the mass shape of it in, massing in the actual value. But right now, where you're still struggling maybe with how to measure and how to get the thing into correct proportion, it probably is a better thing to just worry about proportional issues first. You doing okay? Looking at the shape of the way the pupil comes down, but also in collection with the shape of the white of the eye next to it. And the rest of the pupil goes into shadow, so I'll worry about that later. There's a highlight right there that I'm going to give a reference to because that tells me where a major form change is happening. Come up, touch. So at this stage, even though I've got a lot of things analyzed, it does not mean that I can't go back and change something if I realize I've miscued measurement or something is. If I find something's off. You can see a little bit of a highlight running through right here on her. From here, over to here, over to here. And like I was saying a minute ago, that's basically the area of this part of the head that's getting close to the light. That's also front plane to side plane. So it's kind of the issue of how light helps you see the form.